Chiefs got to double down on what they've been doing to get back to that Super Bowl again next year. They can learn some things from this Super Bowl. We'll talk about that a little bit, get into your questions. This is your night. This is going to be a lot of fun. As we start the offseason, we have a ton to work through. Welcome to RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. It is the day after the Super Bowl the Chiefs should have been in. And I know that's how you guys feel about it. I actually do too. We're going to talk about the takeaways and what they have to do to double down on what's gotten them to this point. I think it's kind of the finer points right now in terms of evolving going forward. That's why Mahomes and Reed are on the cover, because that's what affects points on the board the absolute most. There's a ton of work to do on both sides of the ball, but we're going to get into it. And we're going to talk through your questions tonight. This is what I do on Monday nights, sometimes with Dan Harms, who's on vacation this week, but every Monday night, all year round, unless I'm out of the country, we're doing this show, your Q&A tonight, for everyone. This is regardless of whether you're a member, regardless of whether you're a super chatter. We appreciate the support, and anybody wants to support the channel, the super chats are the easiest way to do it. Grabbing gear in the RGR store is the second way. Both of them work very well. And I'll just start off with my topic for tonight, because I think this is what it boils down to. After watching that Super Bowl, it just goes to show me that there is a lot of lost opportunity there. The Bengals clearly played another good game, had some skills, had some big plays, but again, just reiterates the fact that if the Chiefs play their second half of their game the way they played the first half, that is a Super Bowl that they participate in and I think win. Nothing to take away from Von Miller and Aaron Donald. We'll talk about Von Miller, maybe if not tonight, in the next week or two, because I think there's a couple interesting scenarios around what Von Miller is going to do in the future. You can hear a little bit about that also over on Locked On Chiefs as well with Chris Clark and I. Now, also want to say, we're doing something different this year at Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting. You're going to get more from us. You're going to get it earlier. Jeff Porter is already working on some of the stats for me. Jeff, I hope you're in the house tonight. If not, soon. I think Aaron is in the house, our mod father. We have to have him. I think I just got a text from Dan. I don't think he's going to make it. I have the headphones on just in case he did, but we'll see if he drops in or not. We're all going to work on this. We're all working on aspects of the channel and the business. And I, of course, am out there, trying to drum up business consulting for people in the league. So we are going to get a little bit more prepared, and you guys are going to get all the information. I'm going to start a rankings Substack that you'll be able to see all that if you're interested for the real draft next. If not, we're going to talk about all the prospects here, how they fit the Chiefs. The other stuff will be rankings that'll fit the whole league, but here we'll focus on the Chiefs because they got some things they got to do. And I think it tells you exactly what happened last night. The fact that the Rams were able to have multiple turnovers and still be able to come back when really, and no disrespect to their backup tight end, but they basically had a pass catcher out there. It was feed Cooper Kupp, feed Cooper Kupp, feed Cooper Kupp. And a lot of Chiefs fans are going, well, why couldn't we do that? We had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce out there. Why didn't that happen? Definitely there was a difference in the way the Bengals chose to play the Rams. That is part of it. But you can force them out of what they did against the Chiefs by playing the consistent quick hitters, get the ball out, take what's there, and quite frankly, not try to hit the home run all the time. These are things that we've talked about before. I'm going to do some film on Wednesday and take a quick look back at the AFC Championship game. I don't want to go too deep into it because we need to move forward, not move back, but we do need to know where we've been in order to go forward in a good way. So I will do that. But yes, and thank you, Lego. Super chats are appreciated. We definitely appreciate all the support from either way that you choose to participate with us. And that includes the memberships. Dan's going to have a rant that comes out, I think, tomorrow for the members. If you want to join them, there's a join button over here. And if you sign up all you got to do is make sure that you hit the rookies or more, and then you get the extra videos and all of the stuff that may not be safe for work, but is a little bit more down to earth. If you do join at that level, you can join the Discord community we have as well. All you gotta do is email me there at rgrpodcast@gmail.com, and I can get you invited to that. I am stacking up some of your questions. Thank you for all you old hands that know to put some question marks at the beginning of the question so that I can find them a little easier. I'm building up our comment stack right now, and I will get into it. But I really want to reiterate that it's unique to see such a stark contrast of two teams doing very similar things. When the quarterback last night had to throw a no-look pass to get things going, when he had to feed one receiver to get going, a lot of those things are similar to what the Chiefs had to go through and weren't able to do it, weren't able to concentrate and focus on that point in order to execute enough. So there still is some things that they have to improve on. And I think for the Chiefs in particular, for Patrick and Andy Reid in particular, they have to take some of that away and watch that film as much as they probably didn't want to see it, and take those takeaways and bring them in as well. There's another aspect they may be bringing in that has something to do with Sean McVay. I'm sure we'll get a question on that, and we will get to that when we do, because I am stacking them up here, and I think we have enough to probably get cut in here. So we're going to get into your questions at this point and see what we have. Craig, hope you're doing good. If Matthew and Hitchens are gone, who will provide the field leadership on defense? Do we need to bring in veterans at LB and DB for that reason? I don't think you need veterans for that reason, for the leadership aspect. It's going to fall to three guys, in my opinion. It's going to fall to Chris Jones, who's been like the sidekick of the leaders to this point, because Frank at the front and Tyron at the back have really been the leaders. But Chris has been in there mixing it up, being a little bit more of the lightheartedness. I think he can take on a new role and be more of that pusher. And I think he needs to. Then you're going to see Nick Bolton step forward. Nick Bolton's been a leader at every level of football that he's played in. He certainly performed beyond my expectations as a rookie, and I think for the team as well. He will slide into that role as the middle-tier leader as well. And then I think L'Jarius Sneed's going to take a bigger chunk of the leadership in the secondary. I do expect Travarius Ward to sign elsewhere. Juan Thornhill's going to be there. The question is, I don't know that he's that vocal personality. I've never interviewed him, so I don't know for certain. But from what I understand, he's more of a, I'm going to go perform well, and that will be my leadership. And that's perfectly fine. Some guys aren't comfortable being, the vocal leaders, trying to inspire everyone, that kind of stuff. And that's okay. That's kind of where I see it. Now, we might hear some other things along the way. And certainly I think that the addition of veterans is in their plan. It's just going to be, I think, more for the performance side of it, less than the leadership side of it. The leadership, I think they want their young guys to take the reins, especially on the defense, and really go there. Obviously, it's worked with Mahomes, and you want to try to emulate on the defensive side of the ball as well. Thank you, sir. Madman, hope you're doing well. Veach says year in and year out that best player available, regardless of need. If true, wide receiver could very well be the best player available at pick 30. Yeah, and you saw that in one of my mock drafts last week. I believe it was here on the channel. Not last week. It went up yesterday. If you guys missed that, I put it up a few hours before the Super Bowl, so we had Sunday content, even though I wasn't going live. But I wanted you to see it. Go back and watch that. It'll be at the end of this video, the one that comes up next, it'll be there. And I took Drake London for exactly that reason. If the draft falls a certain way, there are 4 pass rushers that I think are first-round grades on my board right now. There are 3 tackles. Those usually eat up a little more space. There's more corners right now, although I'm very early into the corner study. So those are a couple of them. The wide receivers are the group. They're not as top-heavy as they've been in the last couple of classes, but they're very deep. There's a lot of volume to be had that can get on an NFL field and contribute in this draft class of wide receivers. So you're right. I think that could be a scenario that works out. It all depends on how it falls. And there's a lot of things left to do. One of the pillars is gone, the Senior Bowl, right? Now we have the Combine and the Pro Days. Those are the 3 big pillars of check-ins, evaluation points along the way that go on top of the film. Everyone's got a rough idea of the film. I'd say in today's league, the film makes up 70-ish%. There's the athleticism part, there's the mental part, the interviews that tell you like what kind of personality a guy has and what kind of leadership he has and that kind of thing. that plays a more significant part than I think most people realize. And then there's how do you adapt? There's how can you be coached? That's going to be a key to a lot of guys' futures as well, especially for those that are less experienced, like David Ajabo's on the edge. A couple other guys come to mind, but there's going to be plenty there. I don't know that he goes double. I don't see 2 wide receivers in this draft, though, Madman. That's a little bit too much. I'd rather see him package something. I'm not sure you can trade 102. I'm waiting for confirmation on that, but you can trade 96 and 30 and go up and do something if you feel you need to. I think volume here is actually a good thing for this roster, so we'll see how they choose to attack it. But wide receiver could definitely be the best player available at that time, and it may work out. You do need another weapon. So, especially with OBJ getting injured last night, he was a guy that I thought that they could go after in free agency that I don't think they will right now. There is a scenario that I talk about on tomorrow's Locked On Chiefs. Make sure you watch that either here on YouTube or on any of the free platforms for the audio, about what could happen with OBJ that would fit the Chiefs' plans, but not the way that we had been thinking last week. It's significant. So, Travis Anderson, thank you for the support. Appreciate you. I'll look for a comment as well, but I'm solo tonight, so it's going to be a little bit more hairy. But I appreciate you. Thank you. John Mooney, from Canada. Hope you're doing well. Huge thank you. Thank you very much. Started watching you guys at the start of the pandemic. Oh, okay. Great distraction, brought my Chiefs fandom to the next level. Well, I'm glad that you're here with us, and I'm glad that we can help get you there because there's a lot of Chiefs content going around, and we try to keep it as real as possible here. And we try to be more impartial than fan base, but we always have the fan aspects from some of our guys in Gooch and Stevie, and you'll see Sean on game days. So make sure you keep catching those. It's good stuff, and it gives you a little bit of break from the more kind of clinical aspect that I bring and Dan brings as well. So we try to do that because at the end of the day, I'm trying to work, within the realm of the NFL sphere of influence. And you got to be a little bit more down the middle that way. But thank you, John. And I'm glad you're here. Hope everything's good up in Canada. I got some friends up there, and I meant to star that, not select that. See, this is what happens when I'm solo, you guys. We're going to get there. There's Stevie. Good. So Stevie's in here. Stevie's back. Julian's back. Good to see you. I'm just stacking questions here, you guys. We'll get to them as we move through. Bartimus, got yours in there. I'm behind, of course, already because you guys know how I work. So we'll just get going into it. Jake, knowing that the Bengals need a revamped offensive line, is there any merit to trading one of our offensive linemen for picks and get someone younger or healthier in the draft? The Bengals have nothing that you want. They pick after the Chiefs. So while you could add another pick in its entirety, it's still a low round pick. So I would not do that. I would not even approach them, to tell you the truth. And quite frankly, with Burrow and Chase there, they're going to be there a long time. I don't think you want to help them in any way, even if it is along the offensive line, which clearly everyone was yelling at me last week when I took in a mock over on Locked On NFL Draft that I gave him a lineman. Well, you found out why last night. It's great to have weapons. You have to be able to complete the ball. You have to have time, and protecting that quarterback. If he's got significant injury again, and we won't know, I think they're going to keep it very quiet this offseason. If Joe Burrow has significant knee injuries back-to-back seasons, that's something that can put a limit on the longevity of your career. That is nothing to sneeze at. So they have to be serious about that. But Jake, while yes, we have in Kansas City a volume of offensive linemen, I don't want to get any thinner. I certainly don't want to trade a good player to a rival. That is for certain. And let's be honest about it. They're a rival at this point. They're a good roster. They're up there with the Bills. I think honestly, if the Bills had played them, I think the Bills might have won. I think that's how it works. It's matchups is what it comes down to. Jacob Cadet, thank you for being here. I've seen people on Twitter speculating Allen Robinson. I know you don't like it, but he could be a really good number 2 in my opinion, and they can really focus on the defense. That's true. And it's not that I don't like it. I have serious questions. But, I mean, if he does enough to convince the team that he's bought in, that he still loves the game, that he'll still give his full effort, which is not what we saw this last season because of his situation, then I think it's pliable. He's also got to be able to take a reasonable deal. He can't be out there trying to break the bank and be the top paid receiver or a top 5 receiver for that point, because that's going to happen to Tyreek. They're going to have to extend him. He's getting older to the point where this is going to be his last big contract in Kansas City. You have to give him his due. And so I think that's going to be even more difficult to sign somebody like Robinson. But, stranger things have happened, and they always will. Let me stack a couple more here. You guys are flying with the questions. Nicely done. Appreciate the super chats. I'm going to get to you all, I promise. And I'll try to speed up here a little bit. Pono Quad, thank you, Jacob. Appreciate you. What do you think about Trevor Penning as the offensive liner? He's a mauler. He and Orlando on the bookends would be awesome. I like him. I think he's overrated. I don't see a first round talent there. I paid a lot of attention to him at the Senior Bowl, and I didn't feel that he lived up to his teammate, his former teammate in Brown. So I don't know that I see that. I think he'll go in the first round, but I don't think I'm going to have a first round grade on him. I think it was a high second, certainly top 50. And maybe that works, but I got to tell you, Lucas Niang is not out of the picture. He is developing an injury streak. So I do think that you have to back it up with another draft selection as a swing guy, but I don't think you can put a first round selection into the right tackle spot. Not this year. Not when Lucas is still completely viable on a rookie contract. And if he can get healthy, he should be a guy. I thought he played miraculously for having a guy that missed his entire rookie season. So I'm very high on him. But you're right. The nasty streak, everybody plays that up, and he is a mauler. I will warn you, though, the media types, they played up, especially when he was beaten up on, who was it? Was it Tyreek Smith from Ohio State at the Senior Bowl? They showed a lot of reps where he won and he knocked him to the ground and finished nasty and all that. They didn't show you the reps where he got blown by some of the lighter speed rushers in Tyreek Smith, in MyJ, in Robinson from Miami, Ohio. He definitely had his hands full. Malone will dance around him. So there's a bit of up and down there. But we will do full film review on him. We're going to do full film on every top 15 prospect at every position. Dan and I have it planned out. We're bringing on staff. We're going to give you guys a lot more content this year. The things that I've usually done and just kept for me in my film work is going to go on top of all the production data that you guys get from me every year, all the athleticism matrix. I'm going to have the multiple guides available again, so you can pick and choose. We're also going to have availability to some of the rankings over on a new Substack that I hope will go up right around the combine. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be a pay site for all the Draftnik nerds that aren't necessarily Chiefs fans that will be in there as well. So I just want to give you guys a heads up on that. Chiefs comments, and thank you, Pono. Non-Chiefs question. The Rams players who were not Hall of Famers or borderline got themselves into the Hall of Fame last night. Vaughn was already in there. Aaron Donald was already in there. I heard somebody call Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer. I'm super happy for him. He was one of the reasons I picked the Rams, because I wanted Matt Stafford to get rewarded for those years that he constantly had no support, or he was constantly losing his stars in Barry, in Megatron, and he had to be the guy that muddled through. Like, I was very happy for him. It doesn't make him a Hall of Famer. One game can't do that. I will say this. It did make he and McVay look like that synergy came together that they talked about last season. Like, where they're in Cabo or whatever, having drinks, and they're like, hey, yeah, just go trade for me. And it worked. And so, like, I think there's more to Stafford's career. I don't think he should retire. I don't think that he is. So I think there's plenty there. I don't know if there's anybody else that I would say. I mean, Whitworth. I think Whitworth could be in consideration. I'd have to look at his overall career stats and pass blocking and that kind of thing, but I don't think anybody made the Hall of Fame on last night's game. I'll just put it that way. I could be wrong, but hey, Julian, glad you're back. Hope you're doing well. I know you had some questions down below. We'll get there. Philip. With all the heat on Andy and Patrick, how many miraculous postseason games do we need from offense to be a dynasty? Need better D, just like last 4 years, every year. Yeah, they need to be a middle of the pack defense every year. What happened this year was clearly unacceptable. You've heard me scream up and down for the last 4 draft cycles that they need a top flight shutdown corner, a guy with a talent, first round talent at the corner spot. And you saw why that didn't work. L'Jarius Sneed is a needle in a haystack. He is a great find. You cannot bank on getting a 4th round corner to perform at his level 1 out of 5 times, let alone every time. You have to put the investment in that position because it's still a premier position, and you're going to see Burrow and you're going to see Chase over and over and over. You're going to see Diggs and Allen next year. You're going to see Herbert and Lord knows who. You just got to bite the bullet. Maybe this is part of a 10-year plan, 8-year plan. We're gonna totally rebuild the offensive line. Then we're gonna bring in, rebuild the defensive line, and maybe we'll get a corner. Maybe they don't do a corner this year. Maybe they don't spend talent. Maybe they try to grab a free agent and bring him in and get some upside. And maybe next year is when they go secondary. I don't know. I have a tendency to think that there's a longer-term plan in effect that we don't know about. And I'm trying not to be reactionary season to season to season. But it's been 3-4 years now where I've been saying you got to get type like talent at corner, and they haven't done it. I think that's about to change. But kicker, hope you're doing good. I like that it's a burner phone too. Isn't it better to get 2 quality, cheaper safeties than re-sign an expensive aging safety? It gives us depth too. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. And draft one. Another dark horse pick for the 30th pick you're going to see me probably do in the next mock draft is Jaylen Peters, who can do a whole lot of what Tyron has done in terms of the nickel to the robber. Doesn't play the free as well, but he can do the nickel and robber stuff. There's going to be some other options. There's going to be some veterans out there that I think are going to be on the cheap. Maybe not on the cheap. They're not going to be as expensive as they were their last contract 2 years ago or 3 years ago. A couple of guys coming off of short contracts that are staring at the end of their careers. I think that will be an option as well. And definitely volume at safety is going to be important. I do think you need to have a, center field takeaway, go get the ball kind of hawk back there. I think that's what's missing from this. I thought one was going to get there. This whole thing that we saw this season where they didn't have him starting and all this stuff, I think it might have ruined his confidence, at least for part of the season. I hope that he can get back to that where he takes the ball away like he did in college. I'm waiting for that because I think they have to have it. Lego, will you do a video of the guys that have future contracts and who you think that will make the 53? If there are any, I will. Right now, I don't. I'm trying to think. There might be a couple. Sure, yeah, I'll do that, Lego. I mean, I think Fountain's going to be back. I think it's borderline for Marcus Kemp. I don't know if Josh Gordon is going to make it. I got to tell you. I am disappointed with the way that it didn't progress this year. And so another season, he is on a futures contract. I'm just not sure I bite. But yes, I will try to get to that. We're going to be draft heavy here for quite a while. But I will try to look at that as well. And maybe Dan can help me out with that. Or maybe even Stevie and Gooch want to tackle some of that too. That's perfectly fine. Good idea, though, Lego. Thank you. And I will try to get to it. Frank, thoughts on getting Mike Williams or Calvin Ridley? Calvin is hard, but is possibly worth it. I'm a hard no on Calvin Ridley. But love his talent. I'm not sure he's there anymore. I'm not sure he's bought into playing this game anymore. It happens, even for professionals, even for successful professionals. Sometimes you run out of road in your determination to fight through the physicality of this game and the nonstop. There's no off season anymore. It becomes a lot. And I just don't know. I don't know the circumstance about why he walked away from the Falcons, but the fact that he walked away from the Falcons is enough for me to say, I don't think I'm going to jump in that pool. Now, Mike Williams is a different thing. I see a lot of people theorizing that he's going to get a break the bank. He's not a top 5 receiver. He's not getting $20 million a year. I see a lot of that on Twitter, and I think the Twitter crowd is kind of crazy about some of these things. I do think it's more likely that Mike Williams goes back to the Chargers than anything. But why not? Why not see what's out there? Maybe they don't want to pay him that much. They have their own cap things that they have to accomplish as well. So, I think whoever the 2 is, I think you're going to have to pay somebody good enough money to make them the number 2 receiver. I think that has to happen. And if that's 8, if that's 12, it is what it is. And I'm okay with either of that. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. Robbie, if you were the GM, what would you do with free agency and get ready for the draft? I would start with their own guys. I would see if we could convince Melvin to come back on a similar deal that he got in Pittsburgh last year. Because you got to be able to say to him, hey, that's what you got. Now you're a year older. Yes, we want you back, but we're not going through you didn't jump back into your second contract type kind of level. I don't know if it'll happen, but that's what I would try. I would definitely look at making the wide receiver 2 a priority in free agency. I would look at tackle depth in free agency. And I would definitely look at safety depth in free agency. I don't think you're going to get a corner right now from the list that I've seen. I don't think you're going to get a corner that you can feel can be more than a 1-year stopgap. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe they're going to focus on the defensive line and a right tackle, and they're not going to address the corners, and they're going to piece it together again. I don't know. I think Chris Harris is going to be a free agent again. You could put him in the slot. I think he still played pretty well in the slot last year and moved L'Jarius back outside. That could work. I do think I like Fenton better as the 3 or the 4 than as the 2, though. I do have to say that. And I know there's Baker, and I know there's guys farther down, but I'm over this. You got to have a guy that can compete with Chase. There's not many of them. You got to go get one. Let's see. Is Perry Winfrey someone we should draft? If so, where? I'm biased being a Sooner fan. Oh, I didn't know that, did I? Day OU. Now I get it. Okay. I like Perry Winfrey. My only concern is he was great at the Senior Bowl. I didn't see that kind of flash on film. Now I know that they didn't ask him to do that, and the role that he had was very contrarian. I have to get more into that film because honestly, I've only watched Perry Winfrey when I was watching Nick Bonita. So I haven't watched Perry to watch Perry, which I will. But I see him as a day 2 prospect. I had him really low on day 2, low 3rd round before the Senior Bowl. I think he deserves a bump up, but I don't have him back into the 2nd round yet. I got to see more. I got to see more power. I got to see measurable explosion that puts him on par with somebody that is a 2nd round pick when he does the combine and pro day. So that's where it's at. But yeah, I like him. Energy bringer as well, and I think they need more of that. I feel like Derek Nott is pretty quiet. I don't know that he brings the energy to lift that group. I know Jaron Reed doesn't. I think Chris Jones was kind of like the one guy out there trying to raise it up, and he didn't have much help. And I think that mentality goes a long way on game day. Thank you. Appreciate you, Dede. Bradley, if you were GM, how would you retool the offseason, this offseason, the free agents draft? Really that. Try to knock out what you can do. I mean, you have to tackle your first ones. You got to figure out if you're going to tag Orlando. You got to try to extend Tyreek. And you got to reach a decision on Tyrann Mathieu. Then you got to do the cuts for Frank and Hitch. And you got to see who else you can rework. Patrick's going to rework. They're going to take that bonus off, get that cap back. That's going to pay for Orlando's franchise tag. If you can work out a deal, if they're interested in working out a deal for 3 years, maybe you can do that and you can drop his cap number and you recover that money from the cap for Mahomes. Then you're cooking with gas and you got a lot more options. I would do that, but I would lean heavy. I think there's a good volume of edge rushers in this class. There's some that are going to be in the 2nd round that I think are maybe a little bit more 3-4 guys, but have enough space. Nick Benito can put on weight and be a 4-3 end. I have no doubt of that. I think Myjai Sanders can put on a little weight. He's already 250, so he's about the same weight as Frank. He doesn't play as strong, but he plays pretty strong. And if he went up to like 260, I think he could still survive pretty well. I love the speed rushers and D'Angelo Malone and the Robinson kid from Miami, Ohio, who I hadn't seen film on until the Senior Bowl. So that was an eye-opener for me. I had heard his name, but I hadn't been able to find any film on him. I don't know if I even can now, but we'll find out. And then the corner group, safety group, I think there's room for another coverage-oriented linebacker in there. You guys saw me take Chad Muma yesterday, or if you haven't, go watch the video. He's a favorite because he can do a little bit of everything. That's where I'd start. What do you think of Dante Fowler as a pass rush option? I don't think you can trust him. I think that's a roll in the dice if you'll get production out of him because they're out of time. any chances that you take in somebody that is not a sold commodity on the defensive front is a possibility of wasting another year of Patrick's contract. And that is an issue for me. So I would pass. I think there's better fish to fry, younger fish to fry too. Will Spags like him? I mean, he's got the length and the size that he might. I don't think I would, though. Let's see. There's a Gary Holland question. There's Doug. Okay, I'm stacking these up too, you guys. Comments. Scotty. Napoleon and Rags. I like it. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Joe. Thank you, Joe. I saw Noah Gray in my apartment building. I'm glad I'm a big Chiefs fan and knowledgeable enough to have recognized him. You definitely have helped me become more fan than I am over the years. Well, great. I'm glad to hear it. And say hi to Noah. I think he may be a guy that's able to take a big leap in the second season. I know he was overwhelmed in year one. Let's see what he can do in year two. Is Jaylen Peters going to fall to the third? If so, can he play the Dan Matthew roles? He absolutely can play the robber and into the box. He can play nickel too. I like him better at nickel than I do as a box safety. He doesn't quite have the girth to be like a take on the run, even a tight end take on the run kind of thing, Joseph. But no, he's not going to fall to the third. They're going to have to take him earlier than that. He might be a first round pick when it's all said and done. He's a mid tier right now, day two for me. We'll see where everybody puts him. He's on the way up, though. I think he's going to have a screaming run up to the draft. Terry, do you think that we'll keep Hill and Pringle and have new receivers beside them? You're definitely keeping Hill. That's not a question. You're definitely keeping Hardman because he's on the last year of his rookie contract. I hope that they bring Pringle back, and I would go get new blood outside of that. One free agent, one draft pick, and then I might do something crazy with OBJ later in the year. I don't think OBJ's after, and I said it at the time. As the play happened, I told all the people I was watching with, that's an ACL tear. He's done. And that's what they're reporting today. Now, that's just my experience in seeing that happen, being on the field when that happens. If by some luck that isn't a tear or it isn't a rupture, it's not a complete tear, it's just a partial, then maybe he can get back earlier. But I don't think anybody's going to sign OBJ until the fall. I think they're going to let him rehab on his own. They're not going to spend the money. They're going to let him come along. And when he's ready, somebody will grab him. And I hope it's the Chiefs because I think he could be like a second half of the season addition that could put them right over the top. Thank you, Scott. Or Terry. Thank you, Scott. Do we have any DBs that play assignments in Spag systems? Who know the play assignments? Well, that's the question. One who I know I think did more harm than good was old Dirty Dan. You saw in the last couple of games, like when he was confused, he confused everyone else, and there was bumping around and all that stuff. I think there's got to be some simplification there. There's also got to be guys that in that I'm the older veteran role that are more in command of what they're trying to do. Jimmy, if we go another season and the coaching staff allows little or no improvements in regards to making adjustments, is that sufficient for you that they move on? Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you're here. On the defensive side, yes. If you're talking about Coach Reed, no. It's just never going to happen. Andy Reid will retire from Kansas City. They will not force him out unless they go back-to-back sub 500 seasons. And it might even take more than that. Clark Hunt is not going to fire Andy Reid. Andy Reid will retire before that happens. But the defensive side of the ball, I think it's intriguing that they're letting Brendan Daly go up to linebackers. And I say up, it's not necessarily a promotion. Up as in moving up the chain and having experience coaching multiple positions. That's how it's gauged in the league, and that you can do multiple things. That's how you get to become a coordinator. And so I think that's important, because that makes him a step closer to when they do want to make a change from Spags, they have an in-house option. Which, Stevie, thank you. As always, our resident Stevie Keys, which wide receiver draft prospect is the best face mask the CB move, best push off, or maybe it's only the Bengals receivers who get away with that. Seems to be the only ones that get away with it. There are a couple that have it here. In the draft class, the guys that have that power but still have some sneaky control, and I'm going to make this a serious question. I know you didn't mean it one as well. Drake London will go up and get the ball. The guy that has a little bit of a sneaky push off and can actually do some of those craftier things is Treylon Burks. And I think he's an interesting watch as well. He's got a little more scoot to him than I originally thought. We'll see just how much when he tests. I need to see apples to apples on him. But as always, Stevie, good pointing out that, yeah, I was screaming at that one. What will JuJu of Pitt bring if he is signed to Kansas City? Is he really that good? He is very good. He has great body control. He can high point. I hate to see the one-handed catches, but he's good at it. He also can play all three positions. And for the mental aspect of the game, that's key in Kansas City. And I think he can pull that off. That's why they were so heavy in on him last year. The only problem is, he left him at the altar last season. And I don't know if Brett Veach will forget that and allow it to still become a possibility that he comes back. And B, I certainly would be a little bit nervous about it. So, it may buy you some discount because you didn't have the season. Obviously, with Big Ben thrown to you, you're not going to put up hot numbers. But there's got to be something else besides, oh, I'm interested. Like, you got to show me. You want to come get a ring, you got to show me that you're here for it. Thanks, Doug. Julian, my thoughts on Spags. He needs to be more athletic players to fit his scheme, faster, explosive CB and D-line. Yeah, I agree with you. The problem with Spags has always made his money with defensive linemen that are okay. Like Strahan wasn't super explosive. Tuck was good and long, but he wasn't like the super get off. None of them were like the Von Miller-esque, the Derek Thomas-esque first step kills you, and everybody's playing catch up from that. So that's asking him to kind of break his mold a little bit. But I agree with you. I would like to see them get smaller and faster at edge at times. They have Mike Dana, who's good with bulk and can play and set the edge. I think he's earned a role on first and second down. But as a designated pass rusher, I think they can go to one of the guys that is smaller, that is more like a TJ Watt size coming out of college. That would be Myjai Sanders, D'Angelo Malone, Tyreek Smith, Dominique Robinson. Those are four guys that are in that mold that really ought to be 3-4 outside linebackers. The big one is Nick Bonito, who I think is right up there in borderline a first-round draft pick in terms of grade. That's just a little bit too lean to be a 4-3 end. I think he has the frame to put some weight on, but he's productive in the pass rush, and he's efficient in the pass rush. When you guys get the stats, the bear stat in particular, if you guys remember, my bear metric is about how many splash plays you make from a defensive position that are not tackles. So how do you affect the ball carriers? Where do you make your tackles? How much do you affect the outcome of the game, and particularly the next set of plays? He is right up there at the top of them. So Nick Bonito, if you guys haven't seen him out of Oklahoma, go check him out. Good thoughts, Julian. Glad you're back. Do you think Muma is a day one starter? At Sam, yes. On this roster, yes. I think they would roll with Bolton in the nickel for a bit, but in the end, it would be Muma and Gay at the nickel because he's just too much more of an athlete than Nick. Nick did great. He did better in pass coverage at the end of the season than I ever expected him to. So kudos to him. But at the next level, they'll try to isolate him. Going forward, they are going to attack him in the pass game when he can't get to a drop zone and play forward, because that's what he does best. He hits a spot, and even now he's been able to take it to a 45 or whatever. He can attack the sidelines. He made some nice plays that way. He's just not a turn and run cover, and that's what Muma can do for you. And so eventually, I would think they would be 3 in the base. He's a true Mike, Nick Bolton. He's going to be a true Mike, and that means eventually he will come off in nickel situations when you have Gay. And if you had Muma, that would be the spot. Barnabas, who's the best DB for the Chiefs to target in this draft? I have not done a deep dive on the corners yet, but the guy that I like the most for the Chiefs is the long, aggressive one, Andrew Booth. I like Sauce Gardner too. I just don't know how well he's going to hold up to the Mike Williamses of the league and the Mike Evans of the league and the guys, quite frankly, the Jamar Chases of this league. I question that a little bit. But at the safety position, I think Jalen Peters is right at the top. I think Brisker's really good. I haven't finished his breakdown yet, but I'm working. I kind of like multi-thread everything. So I look at some players depending on what film I can get when. So my evaluations, I don't sit down and do all the corners or all the edges. Like it's however I can get film and in what order. But yeah, those are some guys to take away. I'm trying to think if there's any other DBs that have really stood out to me a lot. There's a lot of good. I haven't seen a lot of excellent. I'm waiting for that. Chad, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the support as always. Very kind of you. Good evening to you as well. Can't stay and watch. Oh, okay. Will tomorrow. Enjoy the mock drafts. I'm glad you're enjoying that. Thank you. And thanks for the retweets as well, folks. If you would like sub and hit the bell right now, and if you would share this out to your social media, I don't have a huge following on Facebook. I don't get much traction there for some reason. So Facebook in particular, if you want to spread that, if you're in the Reddits, they don't like you to post your own stuff. So if you guys would post some of that, I appreciate it. The mock drafts are fun. And I treat it very much different than a lot of the fans. This is who they should go after. And I try to work scenarios because that's what Brett Veach does. That's what a lot of the expert GMs, the best GMs in the league, the Chris Ballers of the world, they work scenarios. And so I'm always trying to come up with something wacky that a team might go out on a limb or do this or whatever. So every week is going to be a little bit different. We're going to do mocks on Sundays going forward. So it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to do some of them together. Some of them I'll pre-record. And we'll just go through it as the offseason progresses. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate you. Thank you, Bill. As always, I'm really intrigued by Josh Williams from Fayetteville. Did you watch him at the Senior Bowl? How did he perform? Do you like him for the Chiefs? Caught him out of the corner of my eye. Was not a featured watch for me at the Senior Bowl. He is on the film. I have the Senior Bowl film from practice, and I am going to go back and go through that, and I will do that. I would say it's a fair fit off the bat without digging into the film. I think that could work. I will know more in the coming weeks. What's your top 5 wide receivers so far? And how similar is Drake Evans to Mike Evans coming up? Drake London and Mike Evans are very similar. I think Drake's a little more athletic, a little less powerful on contact. I don't have my top 5 set for sure. Eric Crocker and I are recording Locked On NFL Draft tonight, and I think we're doing running backs. So that's what I've been working on the last few weeks. But I will give you some names. The OSU wide receivers, Jamison Williams, Drake London. And then it's a toss-up for me. Treylon Burks from Arkansas or Jahan Dotson, who is a guy more like McCole and Tyreek. Speed, inside, slants, slot routes, that kind of thing. One of my favorite sleepers, though, is Jared Stearns from Western Kentucky. I'm a big fan of the law firm of Zappy, Stearns, and Malone from Western Kentucky, if you guys haven't figured that out. Stearns will be a day 3 pick that is built like Steve Smith, not quite as explosive and fast. I'm really interested to see how he times because they didn't invite him to the combine. Kind of pissed about that. But his pro day will be pretty much fire because he went to the East Shrine game, and if Kyle Phillips hadn't been there, from what I understand, he was the next best receiver. Like, they could not cover him. So keep that in mind. He'll be up there in my list too. And don't drop it on David Bell, Alec Pierce, and Justin Ross, 3 other guys that I think are going to be day 2 guys that can really help. DT, thank you for the support. Appreciate you. Release Honey Badger and Frank. Spend your number 1 pick on a good safety. Re-sign Melvin. Get rid of Dan. And whatever it takes to sign Davante Adams. You can't. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to take probably 23 or 25 million a year to get Davante. And if you do that, Tyreek won't show up. He will hold out because you cannot pay Davante on this roster and not pay Tyreek, who has been the passing offense for you for years. That's going to be troublesome. I love the idea of putting Adams on this roster opposite Tyreek. I mean, please. It would take snowstorms to stop that offense. But it would come at the expense of not only your goodwill with your other star receiver, but you wouldn't have the money to spend on anything to help the defense. I think that's really tough. But I'm with you. I'd love to see Davante in Kansas City. Wide receivers I like in this offense are Jalen Williams, Burks, Harris. I don't recognize Harris's name. You're going to have to enlighten me on him, Julian. But I am with you on all the others. Carliner, if you were KC's new GM, what 3 moves would you make to the current roster? What 3 draft moves would you make because of those moves? I would easily do the big ones. I'd release Frank Clark. I'd release Anthony Hitchens. I would not re-sign Tyrann Mathieu. I would then take my 96th pick, the one that's mine, put it with my 30th, move up into the teens, and I would take either David Ojabo, the edge from Michigan, or Andrew Booth. I think he's going to be up there. I would also consider, if you're not going to get Muma, I think the guy who's actually a better fit is Devin Lloyd. He'll go in the mid-teens as well. That'd be 3 linebackers in 3 drafts, though, in the top pick. I think that's going to be tough. But yeah, that's where I would target it. There's a lot of wide receiver depth. There's more edge depth as well. But if you're looking for impact, you have to move up. And having 4 top 100 picks allows you to do that. Jacob, what do you think about Malcolm Rodriguez, a later round pick as linebacker depth? I've seen his name. I have not seen his film. I know nothing about him, Jacob. So you, my friend, have just done another great job of getting me to add another name that I have to put on my film list. And I appreciate that because I need all the help that I can get. There are so many names these days. You know, I used to do my board, and then I'd start recanting film that I hadn't seen live. Now I got to do like 250 or 300 prospects just to make sure that my board's right because there's a lot more eyes on it now. That's just the way that it goes. So, Mr. Rodriguez, welcome to my watch list. Thanks, Jacob. Stack Bundles, thank you for your support. The last mock draft, you did include a lot of players who went back to school. Is there an updated simulator with the most current? No, there is not. That was the one that was the most updated. That's why I used it. I'm waiting for the others from some of the other sites. And I try not to advertise one site's engine over the others. They can all compete for that. I am going to try to move it around once we get some updates because the other ones were even farther out of date. So that's why I did it, Stack. And I will just keep looking for whoever has the most accurate information at the time. Thank you, though. Appreciate your support as always. What Alex Smith as the QB coach? I wouldn't mind seeing it. He has a rapport with Patrick. I think it would be a great story and a way for him to stay in the game. He evidently is not interested in coaching and wants to remain in the broadcast booth or get into and then stay in the broadcast booth. So I don't think there's going to be an opportunity for that. I see some more super chats coming in, you guys. I am going to get to all those, and I'm going to try to run through these last 20 questions or so before the super chats to make sure that I don't leave anybody hanging. But super chatters, I will definitely get you no matter what. Don't worry about it. Who's next? Jimmy's. If we get on the clock and somehow have a top 3 offensive tackle still on the board, do you pounce or trade back? Whew, that's a tough one. I mean, at 30, I can't see that Cross, Neal, or Ekwonu will be there. I think they're all going to be top 15 picks. But if it did happen, I would probably have to do that. I would probably have to grab one of them just because then if they or Lucas Niang is your swing tackle, you are golden. Then you're paying Orlando for a year, and if he doesn't improve, you can let him walk, get a comp pick, and have a starting caliber player. So that's probably where I'd be at, Jimmy. Could Daxton Hill be there at 30? He definitely could. He'll be in that range, and he's another guy that can play the nickel and can play the robber. Not as much a box safety in terms of like the run game or anything, but he can play deeper at free at times as well. So like he is the other one. Daxton Hill and Jaylen Peters are my top 2 safeties. I was trying not to give that away yet. I'm going to get there. Chiefs, without a doubt, better than those teams. Do you think that Jalen Ramsey is overrated? I think he was getting cooked all game. I thought Jalen Ramsey was overrated then. When he backed the Brinks truck up, I laughed. Because while he is good with a physical receiver that doesn't have the speed to go past him, and there's not many that have that speed, to be honest, I thought he was a little overcooked at that point. But he's still very, very, very good. He'd be the best corner on this roster if he walked onto it tomorrow. And guys know how much I admire and respect what LJ Snead does. It'd still be there. Thoughts on Thornhill, Saunders, and Hughes? I don't think Hughes will be back. I think he was on his last year, and it's over at this point. Thornhill will be your starter and may take over, the leadership of the secondary. I think this is Saunders' last chance. He'll definitely be on the roster because he's still under contract. I want to see him. He's got to make a leap now, though, or he's going to be in danger of just always being a backup player. Julian, he can cover sideline closing speed, and I found that he need to learn to drop in the zones. Okay, I'm not sure who you mean, but I like it. I think underrated FA service would be Jabril Peppers, a 2-3 year extremely versatile. He is definitely versatile. My only problem is I don't see him take the ball away enough, and I think that's the big thing that this team is lacking, is taking the ball away. What's a surprise position player that the Chiefs could go in the first? Kind of like Clyde. Well, unfortunately, Clyde wasn't much of a surprise. If you watch the channel, I kind of told you they loved him, and I was nervous they were going to do it, to tell you the truth. A surprise could be the tackle spot. If they're concerned about the health of Niang long term, they could be worried about that. Let's see, Gary, how hard is it going to be to sign Tyreek Hill? I don't think it's going to be extremely hard. They're going to have to pay him $18 million a year, but I think he would re-sign at 18 more than wait for 22. Because of the history. I do think that he will give a bit of a hometown discount. It's just not going to be, anything that really is gigantic. So it may take till camp, but I think they'll get it done. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you on the recorded mock drafts. Can't wait to go live on Sundays. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. When I'm going to give you guys a couple of, I'll give you a 10-second count, and we're going to make a pick, and we're going to do it together. It'll be fun. What Chiefs free agents are you most confident will or will not be back? I think Derek Nottie will definitely be back. They cannot afford to let him go. They need a run stopper because they have to get better at the pass rush. And unfortunately, there's not that many well-rounded guys these days. So you got to have them. Who will not be back? I don't think Sorensen will be back. I don't think Josh Gordon will be back. I know he's on a futures contract. That's as much free agency as anything else. Other than that, I'm still up in the air on some things. Scott, who will the Chiefs dump from roster that nobody's talking about? Who are they picking free agent that nobody's talking about? Peppers is a good one. I would also look at some nickel corner types and maybe move L'Jarius back outside. Who will be a surprise cut? I don't know. That's a tough one. The cuts are pretty obvious this year. Top 5 defensive ends you would get in the draft. Man, my top 5 is not solidified yet, but I will tell you this. Hutchinson and Thibodeau have gone back and forth for me all year. They continue to. Every time I watch another game on somebody, he goes up to the top again. I like Trayvon Walker and David Ojabo better than Karlaftis, but those are probably the top 5. And then after that gets a little bit iffy. I do like the kid from San Diego State. He is more of a Spags type. That's Cameron Thomas. Could Darrell Patterson be a wide receiver too? No. I don't think that he can. He does not have the route running ability. He has not progressed in that way. He's not a threat on the outside. If you get the ball in his hands, he's a threat, but you have to do special things like jet sweeps and stuff that you do for McCole, and you have McCole. So, I don't see it, bud. Let's see who else. Bill's got a super chat. I want to hit that. Liz, thank you. We'll get you guys here before we wrap up. This is going to be perfect timing because my battery's starting to wind down as well. Luis, sorry. What do you think about Sign safety from the Bridger? I like him. I have him as a day 2, like borderline round 2, round 3. Like he could end up a top 50 for me. I like him. He brings the thunder. He gets caught up sometimes. Like if you got to play him deep as a 2 high, that's okay. But if you got to rotate him where he's a single high, I'm not so happy about that. But he can do some of the damn things. He's not quite as stout as that, but he's got some flexibility to him. He's definitely going to be on the list. If Tyreek wouldn't sign an extension last year, why would he do it now? Because otherwise he's going to go to the highest bidder, which means he's probably not going to go to a playoff team. I think he wants to do it. I think they had bigger fish to fry at the time. They had to fix his offense, the offensive line for Patrick. So I'm still confident. Anyone assuming Cowboys let Randy Gregory go, it might be an option. I don't think it would be really expensive. I wouldn't want him around. I wouldn't trust him to be there when you needed him. I got to tell you. I know he's overcome some things. I'm not convinced that it's here for the long term. So I would probably hold off. But they'll take a look at anybody that they can help him. So you never know. Doug, what round of the draft do you see us getting a CB at? I think it could be round 1. I think it'll definitely be in the top 100. So there's 4 picks there. So day 1 or 2, they need to have one. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate the support. I think Casey is targeting a first-round corner. Griffey talked about how expensive they are in free agency. Absolutely. What shutdown corners might fall to 30? Booth, Elam, or Sauce? There's a lot of rumor right now that Stingley's going to be number 2 and Sauce is going to be number 1. And so Booth is starting to fall. Now, Roger McCrary was up there, but he came in super small at measurements. He's still a smooth operator, and I think people are going to like him, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that the Chiefs are interested in because he does not meet their thresholds. So you can take him off the Chiefs list. I am 99% sure. I think McDuffie could be. Elam, I'm not sure. I haven't gotten much actual film on him yet. But McDuffie and Kyler Gordon. And I think the dark horse for me is going to be Kobe Bryant. Sauce's bookend. That's the guys that I think that they might look at. And if Kobe has a good run up to the draft, he could be a first-round pick. Red Hood, not the biggest fan of PFF, but they brought up an interesting thought on Mahomes has been regressing. Your thoughts, and should he be concerned going forward? I wouldn't say he's regressing in whole, but there are certainly games where he did, including the AFC Championship game. Absolutely. He's got to learn to maintain what works instead of trying to be the hero. And he's got to train some of that gunslinger out of him. It's great to take it when it's there, but trying to force it clearly is dumping games for this roster. And I think it's harder to do that in the middle of the season. I'm still flabbergasted. It seemed like people playing 8-man coverages against them was catching them off guard. So I think there's got to be a widening of perspective about what to expect, and I think that will take care of a lot of it. Let's see. What's going to happen to EB? Scott, I wish I knew. I've heard a number of things in the last couple of days, nothing, and I refuse to put it on social media or anything else because I just hear things in both directions. Nothing that I can say is confirmed, so I will not say. But I am really interested to see how it works out because it's been a process that I thought would have taken care of itself if it was really adamant that they needed him back, which I think they need somebody because losing Kafka, I think, is a loophole that is a big deal. Stack, PFF are known for Mahomes haters ever since they missed him on the draft. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even think it's the same people doing the evaluations. You got to remember, anybody who's grading it, they generally start with low-level folks, and then they get confirmation from the guys with more experience. I still think the grades are kind of out there. So, use them as the data source they are because they're great at that. Jess Sider, thank you. Patrick is out when he's hot, but he's not when he's not. You're right. You sound like Jerry Reed. How do you keep him from slipping down and pull him out? That's the question. He's got to be able to do that. Andy relies on him to do a lot of things. He's got to be able to self-manage. That's where he has to grow this offseason. That's where the regression, I think, has come in, and he's got to fix that. Seems like most of the pressure. Oh, thank you, Adam. Appreciate your support as always. Seems like most of the pressure on the Bengals came from stunts and switches. Why didn't Casey do more of that? Is that Spags thing or a D-line coach call? It's Spags. He'll have input from the D-line coaches. Quite frankly, the speed element between Reed and Frank Clark wasn't really there. They ran some, but it doesn't get home like the Rams do. I think it's something they need to work on, and quite frankly, they need a more athletic defensive line to be able to get that done in be effectual with. Flapjack, thank you. Appreciate you. Give me George Pickens. You might be able to get George Pickens. He might be that last bottom of the third pick. I don't think he slides all the way into day 3, but he could. In which case, hey, move around, go grab him. He's got big playability. I just don't know how reliable it can be. The injury scared me that he didn't quite come all the way back. Like he didn't look back to me when he should have been. So we'll see. Gina, thank you for the support and love the avatar. I like that one. I know Von Miller really likes Patrick. Any chance of him signing? Ready Whip, that's what I talked about today. I think it's something they should explore. It just needs to be. And I love the connection that Vaughn used to wear 58 because of Derek. Like I think that makes him not only interested in the organization, but the respect for Patrick. I think that could be another way. If he wants another ring, it's just got to work financially. I would like to see it because I think he proved last night that he's still got a better step than Melvin, and certainly better step than we've seen from Frank Clark the entire time Frank's been here. So it's still an upgrade. Hit that like button, please. Gently, don't break your gear. Just if you would tap that and like and sub if you're new to us, appreciate you. We got a few more questions to hear, so we're not getting off, but thank you for reminding me. I appreciate the help. Thanks, Doug. Let's see. Yes. Ready Whip. Should they sign Eli Apple? No, that ain't ever going to happen now. That would be a locker room disaster. But no, I wasn't too huge on Apple before. If they had, when it was like, when they were talking about Baker or whenever Apple was the last free agent, I was like, yeah, you could look at him, but I was pretty reluctant. I think we've seen why. Bill, thank you. If Devin Lloyd is there at 30, who would have to be available to not take him? He keeps falling to us in many of the drop mocks. Yeah, careful with the mocks though. Got to remember this is very early, and this is not anywhere close to what people are hearing from teams yet. They probably won't put that out for another couple of weeks. But to keep him out of there, it would have to be a high-end edge rusher or corner or a wide receiver that they just feel they can plug in, which I don't know that there's many. But yeah, I'm a big Devin Lloyd guy. I like the way he moves, and I think he can do multiple things for you. Liz, glad that you made it. No love for Matthew anymore. One bad season and he's gone. Well, it's not that it's one bad season and they have to get rid of him. It's that his bad season came at the time that his contract's coming up. Like I thought that they would extend him before camp. I'm still surprised they didn't. I don't know what that hang up is, but to do that and then have kind of a down season on top of that, I wonder if that has limited their interest. I'm really not sure. And quite frankly, if he is in the position that sounds like he is, that he wants to get that last huge payday, I think he might have priced himself out, to tell you the truth, because value has to be, because you should lose Dan as well. And it's just one there. Like you need 2 or 3 safeties. And if you're trying to do the defensive line rebuild, that makes it hard to bolster the secondary at the same time. Now I could be wrong, and they might sign a contract tomorrow for all I know. He might be on vacation with Clark right now. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more about not that it was a bad season. It was a down season, but it was at a really bad time, just as the contract didn't get extended last year. Jared, I really like Kyler Gordon. I do too. Again, more value at that level than high end, but it depends what they're going to go for. And we just don't know. They haven't put the resources into the corner spot. So we might see him be available at 3rd, 4th round, which is more likely where they're probably going to go. If Hill walks, what are the chances that he'll join Hunt in Cleveland? I have no idea. I don't know Cleveland's cap situation. It is rumored that they might be losing Landry. So then it's Peoples and Schwartz, right? So like they definitely have a need, but I don't know that he'd want to go for Cleveland any particular reason. I don't know. I think if he does not choose to extend in Kansas City, he's under contract, so he's not going anywhere this season. But if he chose not to extend in Kansas City, like I think he would want to, it'd probably be for monetary reasons, and he would probably want to hit like the open market to get as much as he could, is my thought. Let's see here. What do you think we are going to do with the DT position since Nadi and Reed are free agents? Like I said before, I think Nadi will be back. I don't know that Reed will. And I think they have to get younger and more explosive, more pass rush oriented in there. I thought Colin Saunders was going to get there, but this is what happens when you're live. And you can see a better view of the studio here a little bit. Let me see if I can Zoom that in a little bit. There you go. Okay, so side camera. Um, I hope that they can do that because I want to see more pass rush come out of what is the defensive interior. Yes, you got to get edge rushers, but I want to see more out of that first step because the league's getting faster and faster at delivering the ball, right? Getting it out quicker and quicker all the time. And I hope that by getting that first step into the gap that you can change some of that. Because again, for me, it's not necessarily about sacks, it's about pressure. It's about affecting the quarterback and moving him from a spot, making him uncomfortable. And that's what I'm trying to do 9 times out of 10. So we'll see. Doug, thank you. Thank you. And we appreciate that you're here. Ryan Strange, welcome back. I know we have bigger fish to fry, but in the draft, but on the board, if the board fell perfect, would you be opposed to drafting to receivers as long as we can address at least one other need? 2 receivers? I would be opposed to that. Like in the top 500, yeah. Or top 100, I mean. I would only take one no matter what. I think there's plenty of really interesting guys down there in the 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. So 2 in a draft, absolutely. But you need somebody higher up. And if you got one in the top 100, I would not go back to that position at all in the top 100. Jared Stearns is going to be a 6th round pick probably, and I think you guys will love him no matter where he ends up. How about we don't re-sign EB, bring Charlie Weiss back? I don't think Charlie's got a future in the league anymore. I think that would have happened by now if it were something that people were interested in. And I'm a little pissed at Charlie still because of what he did to KU. So I'm just going to hold it against him. Roll with me. Let's see. I think that's the end of our questions. We're almost caught up, and I'm only 7 minutes over. That's great. Oh, Steve. Nope. There we go. Is it time for Turk? I hope so. I felt like he had such a great springboard rookie season. I don't think that he progressed as much in his second year as I thought he should and he needed to. So let's see if he can come back and do that this time. That may be exactly what happens. I would love to see it because he's got all the physical tools. He's just got to be that killer instinct. This was not at me. This was talking to Ryan Strange. Okay. Cool. Javante made it back in. Yeah, sorry, man. I'm just wrapping up. But I'm glad you made it. Do you really think that AD retires? Like all day, Adrian Peterson, or who do you mean? I'm not sure. I don't think Jodie Foster will be back. I think she's just doing movies these days, but Jodie Fortson will be back. That's for sure. I'm just teasing you, DT. Yeah, I think I haven't gotten an update on Jodie's recovery, but I think that he will be fine, and I think he will definitely be back on the roster. I'm just not sure if he'll be 100%. So that'll be interesting to see. Jared, Christian Watson could be very nice. Absolutely. And I think he's going to test out of the roof and he's going to bump himself into the top 100, which if it works out right, could be there at the Chiefs' 3rd round pick. And I think that's fine. I think 2nd round pick for him is a little bit rich, but I definitely like what he brings. Let's see what he's done I thought he made a jump from what I saw in Mobile versus what I saw on tape. I thought he had already made some progression. Let's see if he can continue that and do some more. And I think that will bump him up into the top 100. I'd love to see him there. And I'd be down with taking him at that point as well, because then you will have addressed one of the defensive priorities, I think. And we'll see how that gets them farther down the line. That's what I'm guessing. Let's see. Any more questions? Peterson? Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Robert. Were you talking about Adrian Peterson? Let's see. Did you get Gina's Chief Super question? I thought I did. Let me go back and see because I have it here on another list. If I can get it to pull up. Thank you for pointing that out, Stevie. Let me check Gina's. Oh, no. Gina's came in blank. I didn't get an actual question. Gina, would you type that in for me again? And I will get that right now. Or Stevie, if you have it. Let me see if I can go back and find the super chat itself. But it came in blank, I believe. Still looking. This thing doesn't scroll that well. Oh, frustrating. But Gina, I hope that you're still in the room and you can ask me. Yeah, because it came in blank. Oh, I did mention your avatar. Yeah, and I did say thank you, and I do appreciate it. I'm searching now to see if there's another comment. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me show that one. Gina, do you think the Chiefs still look attractive to proven wide receivers and DBs? That's a great question. After these epic collapses and lack of adjustments, I honestly wonder. Um, I don't think there's any faltering for wide receivers. I think the prospect of playing in this offense with Patrick, I don't think that's lost its shine. I think there's a lot of guys that will say, "Hey, if I'm on the field, he makes that throw and they get the score and they get the first down or whatever they're looking at." And sorry, this is still pretty high still. So I think that's more of a motivator for on the wide receiver side. For the DBs, I think they might look at what we've seen on film from Spags this year and wonder if he's a coach that they feel will put them in a good position to win. I think there might be concern there. So you definitely have a good point on that one. I don't know how much of it is, and quite frankly, there might be some veterans there that, especially, guys that have had some exposure to Spags in the past, who might say, "Listen, I can play in that scheme better. I know what I'm doing. Like, there's no reason not to." So that could definitely happen. Let's see. Did you have another question? Oh, yeah. No, it just went in there twice. I just didn't catch it on Super Chats. Apologies. And Steve, you had another one too. We'll go a little bit farther, you guys, since I seem to have missed this quite a bit. Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. I think I got rushed there at the end. Answered that one. How much more growing do Andy and Patrick have to do in order for us to win another Super Bowl? You're never done. You have to continue. Can you adapt to what you're seeing in a way that doesn't put you in another pigeonhole? So, like, it's real simple. Be more versatile. Stop doing the same things over and over and over again. If you get deep coverage, be able to run the ball. If you get light boxes and they're only rushing 3 or 4 and they're spying you, run the ball at them. Grow up. You have to change what you do. You have to be adaptable. There's no reason. Andy Reid's one of the top 3 coaches in the league. He's one of the top 20 ever. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. You have to be able to say, it's not my day to throw. We got to run the ball because these guys are giving us light boxes that we can crush. They go away from the run too much. Andy's MO always has been. They have to get more disciplined about that. It's not about what you want to do anymore. It's about how do you get the championships that you should have on paper by making sure that you are disciplined about the way that you try to attack people. Let's see. I'm stacking these back up because I missed some, you guys. Ooh, I'm going to answer that one. I like that, Scott. I like that one. Lego, I think I answered that one. Yep, I did get that one. And another one from Lego I got Jared Cook. Okay. Sorry, you guys. The scrolling has really screwed this up. Looking for question marks again. Stevie, thank you for this. I did get it. Perfect. And it was the one you were talking about? Okay, good. So I did get it right. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. See, you guys, I couldn't do it alone. If it wasn't for these guys, I'd be all over the place. Julian, Aaron Donald's the player that they're talking about. Okay. Oh, now I can't remember what we were talking about. Oh. Yeah, I have not done enough film on him. Last time I did Penn State, I was just looking at the edge rushers. I have to go back and do that. Let's see. How about the halftime show? Yeah, it made me feel pretty good about. I knew those songs. Like, I got to tell you, like the last few with the younger artists, I've been like, I don't know any of this stuff. So that was kind of nice for me, being the old dude around here. Let's see. Okay, I got that one. Did we get Ryan's? Yep, I got that. Steve, is Andy really the one calling the plays, or is it the OC? Why won't he admit who is responsible for the play calling? He won't admit it because he's trying. one of two things. A, to just keep it a secret so that people can't lock in on a tendency. And two, he's always trying to get his guys hired. He's trying to progress guys' career because they've been loyal to him and they're his guys. And so if they're calling it and it's not going well, and he's not going to throw them under the bus because he wants to help everyone get on with their career and get out on their own. The difference here for EB in particular is that he's been with Andy so long. Now he's starting to get, I think, knocked down that he can't do it on his own. He may have to go somewhere else to get a head coaching opportunity to prove that he can do it by himself. That may be what happens. But that's why he wants to keep that secret, and he wants to help push guys' careers forward. And if they get a head coaching job or they get an OC job somewhere else, like Kafka did, right? He wants to let them be prepared and go do it on their own and be their own man and earn their own reputation. Liz, oh no, we answered this one. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's still love, although it does sound like the fan base is kind of turned off of him lately, but that happens. It'll change again tomorrow. Gooch Keys or Modfather for OC. Ooh. I tell you what, if it's my money, Aaron's the head coach because he can manage everything. Stevie knows all the analytics, so I'm putting him in charge of the offense, and I'm letting Gooch take over the defense and crush people. That is the coaching staff here at RGR. That's what I would do. And Dan and I will just play around and be the front office. How's that? John in Idaho. Love Khalil Shakir. You and me both, buddy. He is one of those slots that I think will probably be either late day 2 or early day 3. At least that's the way it looks right now. And again, you guys, everywhere that I'm saying where these guys are slotted, that's just right now. Pre-comment, like we have a ton of ways to go. But I like him a lot. Where could the Chiefs be able to get him? I think right now, I think he might last to their picks at 96 and 102. If he doesn't run the best time, he could slide into round 4. But I think he's definitely there. He is probably he's borderline top 100. I think Kyle Phillips is borderline 120, so 4th round, 5th round. I think Jared Stearns is the guy that is the 5th round, 6th round kind of area. Those are all 3 slot-specific guys that can walk in and run everything from there. You can let McColl try to go outside. You can let McColl try to do some of Tyreek's things and have guys that are more specific and start in the slot and then grow their 3 wide receiver position from there. I think that's a great way to go. And I love Khalil as well. Tactics, you're back. Biggest crowd pop of Super Bowl 54 was Mahomes and Damian taking the lead. The biggest pop of the Super Bowl was Dre and Snoop, of this Super Bowl. Games were boring without Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, and Lamar. I get that. I know, but it was still pretty good. I mean, you had turnovers, you had hits. I like to see the sacks. I like to see the defense come on and be, a factor instead of the afterthought that it usually is. But it is what it is. Oh, missed that one. That wasn't a question. There's a question mark. Okay, I got the last questions into the stack, and we're going to answer those, and then we will call it a night, you guys. If you want to become a member and you want in the Discord, make sure you email me that at the rgrpodcast@gmail. I'm about to do the draft show here in a minute, it sounds like. So we're cooking with gas now. Got tactics. Thank you. Javante, thank you. Okay, I didn't watch the Super Bowl. That's okay. Is it really a contest, or could have been beaten, or could we have beaten the Rams? I think they definitely could have beaten the Rams. I think the Chiefs' offensive line is markedly better than the Bengals. And so if you take away the defensive front's ability to crush the quarterback, I think that changes that game significantly, if not on its end. I definitely think they could have won that. So, I mean, the big takeaway after watching that ball game is the reason the Chiefs are not NFL champions, world champions right now is because of the Kansas City Chiefs. That's it. Everything else, it was in their control. They could have done it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, and I'm glad you made it. Alex said, sign JuJu to a $6 million one-year deal. Possible. Sign Allen Robinson, Hill, Robinson, JuJu, Kelsey. We don't need a defense anymore. I used to say that too. You still need a defense. Still got to get better. But I like it. And honestly, 6 is probably what I'm thinking too. JuJu took 8 to go back to Pittsburgh last year, right? And did nothing. So like I'm not paying him more than 8, that's for sure. And I would probably start around 6. I don't know that he'd take it. We'll have to see if he really wants to win or not. How much more helpful? Oh, hi, Michael. How much more helpful would it be if the OC and DC made calls from above vision wise, meaning be in the booth rather than on the sidelines? I don't know, because every coordinator, every play caller, whether it's offense or defense, has their way of doing it. Like what they want on the sideline is really what it comes down to. Like I can't say that they'd be better at one way or the other. I personally need the bigger view. If I'm calling plays, I need the bigger view. I need to be in the booth. And every single play caller or everybody who's ever coached or everybody who's ever thought of coaching has their own way of doing it. I don't think you can say one way or the other. Patrick, I hate that Chiefs screwed up in the second half of the Bengals game because I feel like we would have smoked the Rams. I think Cooper Kupp still would have had a lot of plays, but I do think the Chiefs would have won. DT, thank you again. If when Andy does decide to retire, who will likely take his place? Right now, I really don't know. It depends who is successful. There's a reason he's in Kansas City, and that's because of the connection to Philly that the Chiefs have. If Nagy gets a head job and is successful again, maybe. If Peterson can rebuild Jacksonville, he can certainly take over Randy in Kansas City. If EB does that, if Kafka does that, like it'll be based on success, and it'll be based on familiarity, and quite frankly, it'll probably be based on a vote of confidence from Andy Reid himself. So I expect it to be within the tree. Great question. And Chiefs Knicks fan, thank you. You will be our last question of the night, unless somebody else hit a super chat and I missed it, because I feel guilty when I miss those. So yes, this will be it, and we'll sign off, guys. And I'm going to do the draft show. You can check us out on Locked On NFL Draft here on YouTube or any of the podcasts. And then Chris, you had to go grab one too, didn't you? Okay. I'm happy for Stafford as well. Knicks fan, I totally agree. In fact, I said that before in my prediction. Like, I wanted him and Von Miller to get another one. That's what I wanted. Because to put up with that for your whole career with so little help, like Stafford's, I'm very happy for him. And I think you could see like just how relieved he was in the post-game interviews. At least that's the way it came off to me. Okay, one more because Chris snuck one in. Thank you, Chris. Bill, I just saw this. No, Gruden will not be in the league again. I can almost guarantee that. Chris, glad to catch you at RGR Live, even if it's at the tail end. Well, you did good. I screwed up. My camera shut down, so we went long. So I'm glad you made it too. Thank you for the support, though, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. It is a Monday in the offseason. We're going to have a lot of fun, so do not get lost. We will be here all offseason. It'll be Sunday mock drafts, Q&A on Monday, just like always. Seth will be back on Thursdays. We're going to fill it in. I'm doing film this week as Dan's on vacation. Dan's got a rant that's coming for you tomorrow, so make sure for that. We'll have other videos. I still have some of my prospect videos that are going to go up, the short ones, but I'm going to take a look at some film from the AFC Championship and from what we learned last night and give you guys like a visual reference of what the Chiefs need to do going forward. So I hope you're in for that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending your time. For all of you who supported us tonight, thank you. And I appreciate you guys putting up with my camera switch thing here. There's always problems, but we just keep on cooking. So you guys have a great week. We'll have video for you tomorrow night, like always. Have a good one, and we'll be live Thursday.